My name is Dr. Nnenna Chukuma. As you all know, I am your facilitator for this course, Course 322, that is organizational behavior. Today we are going to look at the stuff, organizational behavior. Organizational behavior is a field of study in management that is directly concerned with the understanding, the prediction, and the control of human behavior in organization. It represents the behavioral aspect or the behavioral approach to management of organizations. The study of organizational behavior is generally concerned with how to understand, predict, and influence human behavior in organization. It basically deals with the human aspect of business and industrial concern. Of course, we all know that organizations are faced with a mirage of problems in the day-to-day running of the affairs of any business or any organization. But none of these tasks is more serious or more challenging than the complex task of understanding how people behave in the organization. And that is the essence of this course. Thank you. At the end of this unit, you will be able to define organizational behavior as a field of study that identifies the various influences on behavior in organizations and their impact. And also you will be able to describe the ways in which culture interacts with businesses. This we will be looking at in the course of this. Organizational behavior, as it happens in every work endeavor, understanding organizational behavior is a key skill for all staff in an ever-changing work environment where the whole organization is able to respond quickly and together. For this to happen, managers and supervisors need to understand how and why individuals behave as they do and deliver a truly excellent organization. The stuff of organizational behavior. Organizational behavior is actually a field of study in management that is directly concerned with the understanding, prediction, and control of human behavior in organization. Of course, it represents the behavioral approach to organizational behavior is generally concerned with this understanding, like I have said earlier, and the prediction and influence of human behavior in organization. It deals with the face-to-face challenges or the face-to-face problems that occurs in what organization. Of course, we all know that organizations are faced with so many problems and challenges, but none of these challenges is more serious or have been identified as being more serious and more challenging than the complex task of understanding why people behave the way. Organizational behavior as a vigorous or as an active field in management has two major goals to achieve. One of them is to increase the understanding of behavior within an organization. And of course, going beyond understanding this behavior, the application of this understanding to the solution of practical problems and the enhancement of organizational effectiveness. Along this line, organizational behavior can be conveniently defined as a field of study that actually seeks to enhance knowledge of behavior in organizations through the scientific study of individuals, groups, and organizational processes. Influences of organization or influences of behavior in organizations. A number of variables can be discernible when trying to understand how behavior impacts in organizations. Of course, these variables can be identified or can be understood, and they are the individual, the group, the organization itself, the environment, and of course the culture we found ourselves. We are going to be looking at these variables after the other. The individual. Organizations are made up of individual members. Of course, these individual members forms a central feature of an organization and as a necessary part of any behavioral situation, whether acting in isolation as part of a group, of course, in response to expectations of the what organization or as a result of influences in the external environment. What this is trying to explain to us is that there is the individual is a central feature or is a feature that actually exists or makes up an what organization, and of course whatever the individual does in that organization takes direct influence or direct impact from the external environment which the particular organization in. The groups of course exist in all organizations. They are essentially working or they essentially working on the performances of the organization. The organization is comprised of groups of people, and almost everyone in an organization is likely to be part of a group, whether formal or a what informal group within the organizational what setting. Of course, informal groups arises from the social needs of people within the what organization. And as we know that the understanding of the group structure that exists within an organization complements what the knowledge of the behavior of the individual within that what organization, and it adds a further dimension to organizational behavior. The organization itself. Of course, individuals and groups interact within the structure of a formal organization. Structure is actually created by management to establish the relationship between individuals and groups within the organization. As we know that behavior is affected by patterns of organizational structure, and of course these organizational structures that exist within the organization can be the presence of technology, styles of leadership, systems of management, and even the climate of the organization at that particular time. And all these processes are planned and directed and controlled to impact what on the organization. The focus of attention, therefore, is on the impact of organizational structure, the design and patterns of management on the behavior of people within the environment. All organization functions as part of a broader external environment of which it is what part of. Therefore, there are different variables within the external environment that affect the organization. For example, the technological, the scientific, the economic, social, and even cultural influences. They all what impact on the organization what operation. The effect of the operations of the organization within its environment are reflected in terms of the management of opportunities, the risk, and the successful achievement of its what aims and what. Of course, with the diagram you're seeing now, influences of behavior in organizational setting and their impact on management of what operations. At the beginning there, you will see the individual, the group, the organization itself, and the environment. All these variables impact what on the organization. Of course, the individual is a central feature of all these what variables, because it is the individual that makes up the group, of course, from the group to the organization itself, and of course the activities of the individual is also derived from the environment where the individual had what find. The last one we will be talking about is cultural influences and organizational what behavior. Of course, culture, as we all know, is that part of human action that is socially as opposed to genetically what transmitted. It is that which causes one group of people to act collectively in a way that is different from what. Having said this, in conclusion, we have considered the conceptual framework of organization in the topic as a field of study and the dimensions of various influences on behavior. We mentioned the various influences which I told us are the individual, the group, the organization, the environment, and of course the culture. All these are what influences that affect behavior, which directly and indirectly affects what? Affect and impact on the what? Organization. And understanding organizational behavior is a key skill for all staff so that they can compete successfully in an ever-changing environment. Of course, in summary, the study of organizational behavior is generally concerned with how to understand, predict, and influence human behavior in organization. It basically deals with the human aspect of businesses and industrial concern. Thank you for being part of the class.
Played the outro.
Hold on. This is the outro.
Close it.
Let me finish playing.